Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Shoshanna Richek. She is a functional nutrition and lifestyle counselor. Shoshanna helps individuals and organizations break free from emotional eating, reduce stress, and create sustainable, healthier habits, something we all should have. Shoshanna's vision is to be a spark of compassionate support for individuals who want to unlock subconscious food freedom and enjoy holistic health, feeling empowered with their nutritional knowledge, beliefs, and emotions. Welcome, Shoshanna. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you, Bill. Good to be here with you.
Good to be here with you, too. I like all the words that you're saying there. I'm not sure what it all means, though. Tell me about this, because you're talking about holistic health and food freedom and subconscious eating. Tell me what all that stuff is. I probably do it, but I don't know it.
Okay, well, get ready. Put your seatbelt on because there's a story that goes with all of it.
Okay.
So I would say pretty much my whole life, I've been into holistic health.
Okay.
Going back into college and trying out veganism and getting rid of toxins in my home. And I haven't had any bleach or ammonia or anything like that in my house for over 35 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So I was always ahead of the curve, and I'm always ahead of the curve. And we could talk about that till the day is long. But so when it comes to holistic health, I don't like taking medications. We're not going to talk about vaxes and all that. I feel like there's two sides to every story, but I will say that I try to allow my body to live well and be healthy with nutrition and exercise and sleep and, managing emotions and stress and all the good stuff. Because now what I know, I didn't know it then, but anyway, now what I know is stress.
Yes.
And we all know this is one of the leading causes of degenerative disease.
I can believe that for sure. So
there's that. Yeah, there's that piece. And then there's another piece that from my early childhood, let's say 8 years old until 52, I was an emotional eater. I would binge on sugar. Okay. A lot of it had to do with just sort of over energy, not know what to do with it. And I found later, once I got out of the whole thing, and I'll tell you how, but I found that the sugar would sort of, knock me out, put me into a carb crash. And then I didn't have that excess energy, and I didn't have any whatever feelings and emotions were going with it. I could kind of crash a little bit.
Right.
And that was my MO for most of my life.
Wow.
But I always had to know about nutrition, and I always had to know about fitness because I wanted to look normal. And
good luck figuring out what that is, huh?
Yeah, right. So, I didn't want to look fat.
Okay.
I didn't, I have a thing about fatness for whatever reasons. It hit me at a young age, and I was chubby at a young age because I had, I had the sugar problem. And I ended up losing the weight. So you would never really know all this stuff about me. But the problem with all of it, and the reason why I want to work in the corporate world with organizations is, I started corporate. I've been an entrepreneur since '89.
Wow.
But I did start corporate in the hospitality industry. And the problem was I had this food illness and I couldn't talk about it. It was a secret.
Right.
So when you have secrets like that revolve around food, something that you do at a minimum 3 times a day, maybe more, that's a really hard way to live. And it's hard to relate to people a lot of times because there's a secret. So there's always some defense mechanism and protection going on. Again, didn't realize any of this until some of it recently. Now, what happened was about 13 years ago. So yes, I'm 65 now. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm actually really proud of it. But 13 years ago, I learned some subconscious strategies that took me out of the emotional eating environment.
Cool.
It just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was eating to fullness and sort of, I still like my sugar once in a while, but I don't need it. It's not like a drug for me anymore. And I dropped some weight along the way, and I've managed to keep that all off and maintain this lifestyle for 13 years now.
That's awesome.
So I've had several businesses. I've been an entrepreneur, like I said, since '89, but this one is a baby business. I'm just getting, into year 2.
Yeah.
And what started it was when I had a chance to make another change. And I love change.
Yeah.
I don't like changing residences, but I love change.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so when I had a chance for another business, I thought, what have I always loved? And I've always loved sort of being that person, as I mentioned, as you read off, like that spark for people, like helping people feel encouraged and supported. I love that role. Even in my other businesses, I had a kitchen business, kitchen design and sales. I had a marketing company for 19 years. The kitchen was 9 years. But in any of my roles, it was always to show up and like, okay, there's hope for you. We're going to get this done. You're going to be happy. I'm going to absorb whatever the pain factors are, and I'll let that go later. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So when I realized that I could do something else and serve people, and especially at this stage in life, right, a couple of years ago, I got certified in that emotional space, learning those subconscious strategies to help people take the pressure off. And you learn as you get older that you have these embedded behaviors. And I love neuroscience, and I know you understand it with your exoskeleton, background and science background.
I know a little bit about it, but I'm not a neuroscientist, but I get what you're saying.
I love neuroscience. I love neurolinguistics. I love the mechanics that, sort of control a state of being, the subconscious, that, 80 to 90% of what we do every day is just automated from our subconscious, so that our brain can be free for the immediate things, all of that. So I learned how to work with all of that to help people really break free. I learned that it doesn't matter what you know about food, about exercise, about any of it, about yourself, unless you actually know how to get to the root issue of the problem and remove it. But as you may relate, you can't just leave a hole somewhere. You have to fill it, right? You have to find another behavior, another emotion, another something that's going to take the space, so that you're not left like, oh my God, I removed this part of my life that I've had for 50 years. Now what do I do? Or 30 years. Or
right.
So this is all just fascinating to me. I love it. And I love when it works. And it mostly works if somebody's, in their right state of mind and health to help themselves with a guide. And I see myself as a guide. I take people by the hands. I'm a counselor, not a coach. And I really like that too, because I have, the right to guide and lead and provide suggestions and recommendations and let them be vulnerable and let them follow. And then they develop their own. So that's how this all started. That was a little bit long-winded, but then I got certified in functional nutrition.
Oh, cool.
Now, functional nutrition is just fascinating because unlike being a dietitian, right, or just a nutritionist, which those are all great, but functional nutrition learns every system of the body. It also learns which nutrients support it. It also learns or teaches, what about past trauma? How does that come into somebody's total health?
Right.
Or what about their sleeping habits and their stress and their relationships, their nutrition, their hydration? Like, how does that all work? So
Right.
I, through my education in this and my certification, one of my favorite parts about new clients, when there's an individual client, and we'll talk about that too, because I serve organizations and individuals.
Oh, cool.
But I have an intake form,
Yeah.
and it's really intense. It's they have to trust me to fill this out,
Right.
but they fill this out, and then I plot it on one page
Oh, wow.
that shows them how everything that they've given me applies to every part of their life, their body,
Right.
like how the parts of their life and their experiences and their symptoms and everything, like how does this affect you in your body? So now we can both look at this at the very first appointment. I've already gone through it. I've already plotted it out.
Right.
So when they meet with me, we get to see, hey, this is what's happening, and we go through it all, and here's where I think we should start. And they're on board because now they understand, like, oh, wow. And now they'll never have to think about that form as all individual fragments. They see, oh my God, this is what has contributed to how I am today.
Right. Right.
Very
Yeah.
holistic. So that's where the holistic comes in.
That makes a
And
lot of sense.
it's really exciting. It's really exciting. And so that's how it started. That was your question. It was, I told you it would be long-winded. I reminded you to put on your seatbelts. So.
No, that's wonderful. A lot of that stuff resonates with me, and I totally get kind of what you're talking about. In biology, we talk about some of those things, the neurology, obviously, but also, as people have done research over the last 50 or so years, your gut biology or your microbiome, people are starting to figure out how important it is and what the impact of the food you eat on that. Like I know a lot of people, especially my age, have probably at some point or another either tried or did different types of diets. Like, one of the big ones that was back about 10 or so years ago was like South Beach. And me and my wife tried it. And sure enough, if nothing else, it made us super aware of like the sugar issue, like you were talking about. It's like, holy cow, I didn't realize how sweet some of these things were. And so, awareness is a great thing. And then the other one you were talking about with the neurobiology is like, it's funny because we just had our standards committee week in the exoskeleton area. One of the things we talk about, and it's a similar word, we talk about cognitive load. And And so it sounds like a lot of these things that you're talking about with the subconscious and all the things around your food habits, some of that is a cognitive load that you're kind of living with. And how do you manage that? And like you said, if you improve a habit, remove something, what do you put in its place? Because you've been living with it so long, it's kind of part of you. So how do you kind of go about that? That seems like you're kind of picking out something out of somebody, and how do they adjust to that? Some people don't handle that very well. So how do you manage that?
So that's a great question. And I am highly intuitive. Okay, call it what you will, but I am. So when somebody's talking to me, I listen very carefully to what they're saying, and I also sense what I sense.
Right.
And then I can say something like, Bill, after listening to you and all, it seems like you're holding on to a little anger about the situation.
Oh, I've got some anger about many, many things.
Okay, well,
that's
hey,
why
I
we're
said
not
the
going
right
to talk
thing
about
to do.
vaccines and natural immunity, because I'd get on my little high horse over here.
Okay. So then I would say, Bill, would you be open to sort of a guided meditation exercise?
Nice.
Where you can truly relax, and I can help you remove that.
Nice.
And then replace it with a feeling that you'd rather have around that. And maybe that feeling is, sometimes it comes up to be confidence on certain emotions. Right. Some emotions, like maybe around anger, it could be understanding.
Right.
It could be love. It could be, another thought, another emotion. It's typically emotionally related.
Right.
Behaviors, yes, we can change, but if we can get to the emotion underneath it all, and I walk through an exercise. I know about 24 exercises. So if one doesn't stick particularly well, we go on to another one.
Right.
Most of my clients, now I've been at this a little over a year, and most of them that I'm staying in touch with are at a minimum maintaining,
Mm-hmm.
what they learned. And, what I do isn't necessarily about weight loss, but if they're really taking it, if they work it with me for 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely results in weight loss. And then that weight loss can continue at a very healthy rate, where before they were actually gaining weight
Right.
on a regular basis. Now they're maintaining and losing very slowly, which is much healthier than anything. And it's maintainable, it's sustainable.
Right.
And, anytime we can have a sustainable result, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they have to go on a diet ever again. I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're deprived of anything. There's no reason to be.
Right.
They just learn how to reprogram, essentially reprogramming the subconscious with these other emotions and behaviors. And we use visualization,
Mm-hmm.
so they actually see it happening. We used sort of trigger things to help them trigger the memories that make them feel better.
Right.
All of these things work together along with education, because education alone will not change anybody.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like learning anything. You can hear it, you can see it, but until you do it, it doesn't really kind of get integrated into you. At least that's been my experience.
Well, and if you do it and you're not emotionally motivated, so that's the other thing with the work that I do. My clients feel, what's the word I want to say? Well, innately motivated.
Right.
There's another word, I just can't think of it right now, but motivated. They feel motivated from their gut
Right.
to want to help themselves, not just feel like it's a goal, not just feel like it's something in their brain and their head.
Yeah.
It's actually a deeper sensation where they really feel it. They're totally in tune with how they're feeling and what they want to do for themselves and how they want to live and how they see themselves. So it's a very cool opportunity for me and for them.
Yeah, working with people that are really motivated to help themselves, I that's got to be super rewarding. I've supervised people in the past and done, what we call individual development plans and all this nice stuff. And most of the time, it's a checkbox for a lot of people. But if you find somebody that's really motivated to do something, it's great to work with them. It's amazing.
Well, and you can affect their motivation through the exercises.
Oh, really? That's cool. I
Well,
like that.
that's what it is. So even though somebody's motivated, like I'm motivated to set my goals for
Right.
next year
Right.
and to have a plan. But what's going to motivate me to actually see it through?
Yeah.
Where's that going to come from? That has to come from a very inner space where I really want that for myself and I see myself achieving that. That's where the clients receive that type of support. And yeah, it's a motivation that's not easy to have, but if you're trained properly to have it, then you can have it.
That's really cool. Now, everybody thinks Christmas is one of the happiest seasons of the year, but it's also one of the saddest seasons of the year. Everything, I've learned and experienced, over my lifetime. What do you do in this time of year, especially for people who are experiencing, this both sides of the spectrum? A lot of joy, people are happy around them, but they may be depressed and sad about something in their lives. How do you talk to people, in the Christmas, Hanukkah type season who are going through these things? What would you say to folks?
Well, first of all, I'm not a psychologist.
Right.
So let me put that out there. I'm not a medical doctor of any sort. However, always able to listen. Some people just need to be heard
Mm,
and seen and felt wherever they are.
right.
And then they're happy with anybody's wisdom
Mm,
in terms of just letting them know that they're normal.
right.
It's so in today's day where, right, where social media makes everything look like it should be a party. And there are people walking around with some real feelings and thoughts and experiences. And shoot, I've had many in my life. You've, I'm sure, had some in your life.
A few.
So, yeah, just to, I think people really want to be heard and seen and felt
Right.
and feel like it's okay to feel this way.
Yeah.
You're reminding me of, it was 7 years ago, I lost my second husband.
Mm-hmm.
We had been married for 4 months,
Wow. Holy
and
cow.
he, without notice, pretty much died.
Wow.
And I remember that feeling of like, whoa, disconnect, everybody stop everything you're doing in the entire world, because I need about a week to process, but nothing would stop.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
learned, essentially that it was okay to slow down.
Yeah.
It was okay. Grief makes you slow down. So whatever somebody's experiencing, I just want them to know that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take some breaths. And I also learned another great word. The word is and.
Oh, nice.
There's a dichotomy no matter what's happening. For me, it was okay to remember a loving life and live my best life.
Right.
And it was a dichotomy. I chose to not live in the past.
Right.
I chose to live in the present and remember a past.
Right.
So there's that word in. Sometimes we think, I can't have both, but you can. And we shouldn't try to ignore or avoid any of our feelings or thoughts or emotions. Now, if they're really debilitating
Sure.
and taking us, out of our comfort zone for a long time, and I use death, that's a severe example, but, there are some things, a loss of a good friend feels like a death. There are some things, a job, a divorce, so many things that feel like, or maybe you just don't have family around anymore at this time of year.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen, and we just have to learn, okay, so what can I do? We have to learn that helps me feel good wherever I am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I'm going to ask a little less serious question now.
Okay, yeah, I go deep. Sorry, Bill.
No, I love going deep, but this is a non-serious but serious question for me. Very personal. So I can be healthy and eat fried chicken because
Yes.
okay, I'm down with this conversation. So how does that kind of work? Because I love to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I would, if you were in my world here, in which you are right now, I would say, could you live with having fried chicken maybe just once a week as a treat?
Absolutely.
Well, if you can do that. So for me, Saturday is my fun day
Cool.
most weeks. It's my fun day. I don't care. I wake up, I love gluten-free waffles. I found a great mix for that.
Wow.
I make my own sourdough bread. I want to say that. I make my own gelato.
I make sourdough bread. Now, you've got me on gelato. So
I make my own gelato, which isn't so good for me, but you know what? It's a treat.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, if I ever get to meet you in person, I'm going to, try to get you to bring me a little gelato because I haven't had good gelato since I left Italy. So I would love to give that a shot. Just putting that out there.
All right. No preservatives. Yeah. I got that Ninja Creamy, and I thought I would only be making like protein, type ice cream product, almond milk and protein powder and, some season, whatever it all is, throw a little, I love like chocolate cayenne mixed together. I love all these crazy flavors. But then I just said, you know what? We had leftover cream and milk from mac and cheese from Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, let me see what's in this book. And I said, oh my God, I could make gelato. And it has 4 egg yellows in it.
Yeah.
4 egg yolks. So there's some good protein in there. There's some good nutrients, vitamin K. And I
Absolutely.
thought, let me try this. And it is so darn good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to give that a shot. I like making bread too. Is something I do every week. It's like, and I love, having good food that I kind of know what's in it. So that's another thing. It's like, is that something you encourage with the folks you're talking to, is kind of make your own food? Because a lot of people eat out a lot,
Yeah.
whether that's fast food or whatever kind of food. How do you kind of work with them on that kind of side?
That's an interesting question. You do have to be super careful going out.
Mm,
If you go out a lot,
mm-hmm.
if you go out once or twice a week,
Yeah.
you learn what you can manage. I teach people to focus on how they feel when they eat certain things too.
Right.
My favorite story, and then I'll answer your question. This one guy, Brian, I loved it when I talked to him. Our scheduled time. He was a 90-day client, and when I talked to him, he says, "Oh, show." He said, "I went out with my family for barbecue, which I always loved.
Right.
I felt so sick." I
Right.
said, "All right, this is awesome. This is great. You've been eating so clean lately for the most part that now you put that garbage." I have a very hard time with barbecue personally. It's a lot of sugar in the sauce, but here's another thing. I do my very best to eat grass-fed, wild caught, organic, free range food.
Right. Right.
So if I go to the store, like my husband's shopping right now, he's worse than me or better than me. He reads things more than I do now. He didn't come to me this way. We've been married now. We got married in May. We've been together 6 years now.
Wow.
But he's lost weight. He's reading labels. He loves the type of food that I love.
That's cool.
But the salmon's got to be wild caught. We only buy grass-fed beef. We buy it online. I have a special resource. And then vegetables are going to be organic, fruits are going to be organic, eggs are going to be free range,
Right.
egg chickens from free range chickens. So the reason why I'm saying all this, it's really hard to get that quality going out to eat.
Right.
So we now prefer to eat in
Yeah.
and not go, but sometimes it's like, what, I just want to go out.
Yeah.
Maybe
Exactly.
I want junk, or maybe I want, whatever. There are some good restaurants around. They have delicious food, but it's not going to be the standard that I use at home.
Right. Right.
And
That's
and I
that's okay.
do really promote those standards. I think those standards are really important. All the way to the peanut butter, like get used to just a natural organic peanut butter. Get used to, a good quality maple syrup. Um,
I
you know,
you hit me with the peanut butter, because like I love peanut butter, and we get I for years we've gotten just the regular peanut butter, because I grew up in Georgia. If people don't know it, Georgia is the peanut state. I
yeah.
I grew up in farming country. I didn't really know till I was in college, and this wasn't at the school, how peanut butter was made. I ended up I was went to an international farmers market, and they had a machine there, and you hit a button, and the nuts ground, and you got peanut butter. I'm like, what? Because
Ooh.
even in a small farming community in Georgia, the peanut butter I experienced had been Jif and stuff, and every one of those had sugar and all sorts of stuff added to it. So I always thought that was how you made peanut butter, and I was shocked. Same thing with maple syrup. You watch a few videos online, it's like, that just comes right out of a tree, really?
Yes.
Like, there's no chemistry involved here. It's just natural, and
Yeah.
so it's really interesting. So yeah, some of this is like educating yourself and educating others, like, well, okay, what is really food? It is not cheese whiz.
It's just, and it's becoming a really big thing. There's an acronym now, UPF, ultra processed food.
Right.
And Dr. Mark Hyman he's sort of the guy that I learned about years ago. and what took me in the direction of functional nutrition, because it's all connected. And once you get used to eating cleaner and then you don't, you feel the difference. You
Right.
feel the fog in your brain. You feel maybe your stomach's not so well. Maybe you end up getting diarrhea. I don't know,
Oh
whatever it
yeah.
all is, but
All of that.
it all affects our brain.
Yeah.
So that whole, you talked about it earlier, the gut brain connection,
It's real.
it's the science is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been wonderful. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I think we need to do another one of these. But I do want to, before we go, I do want to ask you, since you've had several businesses and you've got a new business again, I want to ask you. So, what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs out there in the Charleston area?
Yeah, I think the best, first of all, I love networking with the local business folks. I'm with Chucktown Startups, I'm with 1 Million Cups, the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce,
Nice,
and Lowcountry Local First,
nice.
solopreneurs. So I stay connected to people so we can share ideas. But I think the biggest thing is to have a plan, a strategy that is going to work for you,
Mm,
as especially as a solopreneur. But
right.
I've always been a solopreneur, so I'm not. I did sell one of my businesses, and that was pretty exciting. But for the most part, you have to have a strategic plan. I'm working on mine today, as a matter of fact,
Cool.
and a sales plan. Like,
Right.
what is your sales plan? We can't just say I'm going to do this and show up and talk about it. You have to have a plan, and you have to have trackable activity
Mm,
within that plan. And there are several resources here in the Low Country that can help people do this, some with no charge.
right.
So I
Right.
know Low Country Local First has it, and through 1 Million Cups and the Kauffman Foundation, they have a program called Fast Track.
Right.
That's free. That's a 12-week, 8 to 12 week
Oh,
program.
cool.
Then you have SCORE,
Score.
the
Yep.
South Carolina Organization of Retired Executives. And I just suggest for anybody who's serious about having a business and really making it worth their while to go to one of these, get help. Even I'm a seasoned entrepreneur, but everything changes.
Yeah.
Marketing changes, sales change,
Right.
people change,
Right.
the society changes. So even I have found myself in this past, 3 years getting a lot of help.
Yeah. And the markets are very, different across localities. Like, I heard somebody the other day, it's like, I've never really used LinkedIn a lot, but it's really big here in the Charleston area. So I've started using LinkedIn because it's helped me with my business. And that may be different if you're in some other part of the country or another part of the world. And so you have to understand the environment you're kind of working in. So I totally get
Yeah.
that.
And I just want to add on to that Charleston, I've been here 28 years.
Oh,
For
wow.
me, it's the land of the entrepreneur, and it is a real connection city.
Yeah,
I have connections that I started 28 years ago, and I still have them.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it really is a connection place, and people are really, that Southern hospitality. It becomes, I'm a Bostonian. I call myself now a Southernized type A,
That's funny.
but that Charleston hospitality goes a long way.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and people, like you said, people are more than happy to help you out and try to connect you with other folks. And so it's a great place to start a business and be a solo entrepreneur like you and me, or be a regular business with several employees or a lot of employees. So it's
Yeah,
it's it's a nice place.
yeah. Well,
Well,
thank you, Bill. This has been really fun.
yeah, thank you. We'll do it again. I think you've got a lot more to share with us, and I'd love to have you on again. See where things are this next year, and if you have a topic that you want to cover in the future, we'd love to have you back on.
Thank you. I really want to talk about how I help businesses. We didn't get there, but that's the next one.
Absolutely. All right. You have a great day.
Okay, take care.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Low Country Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.